You ever remember those times from your childhood when your mom took you to the grocery store, and the only interesting moment during the whole escapade was when you got to go to the cereal aisle? Well, technically, this happened last week for me. I may or may not have walked on my knees to recreate this.
Sir, you can't do that. Can you please leave?
And while I was reliving these childhood memories,
I realized something.
they don't even have toys in the boxes anymore. All they do now is scan this QR code and you play some dumb iPad game. Well, two can play at that game. Sam, because I'm gonna make my own cereal game.
Oh boy, yeah.
Taking 5 or 6, whatever, Kelloggs cereal mascots and design them their own Mario Kart looking vehicles.
Great.
I'm not going to design a track for this video, but actually I do have a set for an early 2000s kart racing track from my own show, Randy Rejects. Sneak peek of the show, I guess.
Get on with it!
Toucan Sam. Okay, can we just acknowledge that for several years, the creative team behind the Fruit Loops commercials absolutely cooked with them. It featured Toucan Sam and his nephews embarking on an Odyssey-styled adventure straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon. And as manipulative as they are to children, these were well-done ads. The most prominent mode of transportation he used in this series was his canoe-looking sailboat, and that's pretty good. But he also rides a flying saucer, which is cooler. So yeah, we're gonna base his kart off of that instead. It is kind of wild how much the artists locked in for these commercials. There was this whole One Piece anime arc where Toucan Sam embarked on a quest to find the lost treasure of Blackbeak. But let's be honest, considering how Toucan Sam is grinning at every sign of danger, this bird has the will of D. On the topic of stealing, they also ripped off the concept of DuckTales for this. You'd think there'd be a great big lawsuit from the mouse, but no. The main legal trouble Toucan Sam ran into was by being too cartoonishly appealing for a food advertisement. He and a bunch of other cereal mascots were claimed to be unfairly influential to kids, and that's understandable. Cereal is basically just crunchy diabetes cosplaying as a breakfast. But also, parents, if you're serving your kids any more than the portions that come from the prepackaged bowls, you know, the ones you find at hotel breakfast lines?
Excuse me, can I have some of that?
Oh, no, it's for a video. I need it.
Why not?
No, you don't understand. I can't. No, you can't have any. No, you can't. I don't know what I was talking about, but yeah, for the power-up he's representing, it allowed drivers to absorb the Fruity Loops and use it as a turbo boost in the race. Tony the Tiger. Anyway, for the Frosted Flakes mascot, we got some options for his car. He's been represented in NASCAR a couple times. He's got his own Ford F-150 model, and even has his own vehicle in a 1985 commercial. And for the purposes of an old-school karting game, the black convertible looks like the best option. If you assume that the grills on the front are headlights, then his car is most likely based off a Pontiac 78 Trans Am. It makes sense, the vehicle's a muscle car, and Tony is all about exercise. That's why he sponsors Frosted Flakes. Even though this vehicle is not a one-for-one match of a Trans Am, the commercial shows enough angles of the car for a proper turnaround. And when it comes to the 3D model, the art style is going to be low poly, just like old kart racers from the 90s. It's for nostalgia and definitely not for me being lazy. So we just had a cube-based model, no texturing will be necessary. I'll just use shaders and extrusions to cover the surfacing. I'm not really a texture artist, so I only really want to break out UV layouts or whatever they're called, unless I really need them. Tony's was pretty simple to make. For the interior, I just had to apply some detail to the dashboard because that's mainly what the player is gonna see. Okay, so here's the thing about Tony.
I'm an athlete.
Because Tony's an athlete, his power-up will involve the tires of the car growing to monster truck levels, and it can crush nearby drivers. It's good to go. Diggum Frog. Now this is just my personal opinion, but I feel like Honey Smacks needs Diggum Frog to stand on its own as a cereal. I'm not saying Smacks is a terrible cereal, but I definitely wouldn't argue with anyone if they did. These two are ubiquitous in a lot of ways. Yeah, you can get Golden Puffs at your local Walmart, but it won't have the same 90s tood from the main brand. Now, when it comes to vehicles, there's some serious Mandela effect energy when it comes to Hugger Mugger Jr. over here, because I could have sworn he had a skateboard. Like, right, he had a skateboard. But no, he's never had one in any commercial. The most relevant vehicle related to his brand are the toy cars that came with the Smacks cereal boxes, which is a better option, so we're gonna base his kart on that, actually. They did one for old automobiles in 1972, so we're gonna base his kart on the 1901 Oldsmobile option.
Because there's already a base model of that design on Sketchfab.
So back in the 80s, there was actually an attempt to retire Diggum Frog and replace him with a bear named Wally. This was likely due to the name Sugar Smacks being rebranded to Honey Smacks, I guess to appear more healthy. And you could put two and two together, why Kellogg's would think a bear would go better with the new label. However, Diggum was loved by the people. He was drawn out of a single man's imagination, not some corporation-y focus group-driven design think tank factory whatamabob. It's why students at universities actually protested that they bring Diggum back, writing letters and forming an actual group called Frogade. It actually worked. We brought Diggum back. For his represented power-up, drivers can drop behind an abandoned beehive, which will make steering way more difficult for drivers if they come into contact with it. Cornelius Rooster, also known as Corny. He's the mascot of one of Kellogg's first cereals. And believe it or not, Mr. Corny drives an old school vehicle after being featured on the Huckleberry Hound Show. Voila. You might know this already, but cornflakes cereal was not made to actually be a fun breakfast. It was made to help men not sin. John Kellogg was a devout Seventh-day Adventist with strong beliefs against pleasure, and if he were alive today, let's just say that his favorite month would be November. The goal of cereals like cornflakes was to make a bland cereal that would discourage consumers from seeking out other exciting stimulants. The man was even heartbroken when his brother Will Kellogg altered the secret formula by adding sugar. For that reason, it's very unlikely that Carney shares John's religious beliefs, and since he isn't really seen with any other religious imagery in his commercials, we're gonna put him in agnostic for the vibes. Oh wait, this isn't that kind of list. Snap, Crackle, Pop. So guys, do you remember those McDonald's changeables?
Listen, guys, we break down into microbots across the galaxy, okay?
Changeables are these Happy Meal toys where they represent like objects you find at a McDonald's, and they transform into robots or vehicles or dinosaurs or whatever. They have those for Rice Krispies, which is so cool actually. So fun fact, the term Snap, Crackle, and Pop existed before the actual Keebler Elf looking characters ever did. It was just part of a radio jingle back in the 30s written by Nick Winkless. The onomatopoeia terms were simply product descriptions of the advertisement. It wasn't until Vernon Grant designed a solo elf to serve as a mascot for the cereal brand in 1933, and then shortly after, he added 2 more so they could distinctly be named Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And because they made the choice to have 3 mascots, all 3 of them will be piloting the cart for the game. For the power-up, we're going to pay homage to the Rice Krispie treat by using a giant marshmallow that'll bounce your cart up in the air and land you further down on the track. Apple Jacks. This one makes sense because Jack and Cinna-mon are always racing to jump into the bowl of... Wait a second. That's the new design of Cinna-mon? What the... Ew! What is this watered-down stock image looking thing? They could have just removed the guy's hat if they were worried about being culturally insensitive. They even massacred my boy Jack over here. Like, I'm sorry to whoever designed this. I'm sure you're very gifted and you were under strict corporate instructions to make the designs look bland, but because I'm disheartened, I just made a bowl of cereal for their cart, and the wheels could just be Applejack rings. There. And for the power-up these guys are repping, it'll be just a giant apple that can be bowled forward, sideways, or backwards, crushing any driver it comes into contact with. And those are our cart designs. And now on to programming it. Actually, I'm not a programmer, so the video ends here. If you somehow actually found yourself enjoying my 3D modeling, feel free to watch the pilot to my animated show that actually features characters I have the rights to. And yeah, okay, you know, this is not connecting. Goodbye.
We do our thing, that's an original groove. Shake it back, shake it just the way